Hello. Welcome to Page Likes Don't Sell Homes. Get the most out of your Facebook strategy, Real Sync, episode 7. My name is Jamie Quinzer, and I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at Sync. And today we have our Facebook client partner, Elizabeth Ghosh, who's also joining Harry Curbo and Alvaro Arize. Guys.
Hey.
Hey. Yeah.
Hello.
Great to be here.
Thanks for having me.
So I think we have tons of content today that I want to dive into. I know we have people from all over the country joining. Elizabeth, you have tons of words of wisdom. We have some action items, but Alvaro, do you want to kind of guide us as CEO on your opinions and feedback on Facebook?
Absolutely. I'd say, first of all, thank you everyone for joining. I'm extremely excited about today's session. I think today more than ever, if you're not doing professional online lead generation and advertising, and you're not professionally managing your online presence, then you're out of the game. It's not what it used to be 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, or even 8 months ago. And so as that, we need to make sure that you're maximizing your tool set and that you're using all of the tools at your disposal and the best tools at your disposal. And with Facebook, we've had a long journey. We started where it was tough to be effective at Facebook. Our first year, the intent of the leads was difficult to capture, and it was cost effective, but it was difficult to get the quality and the intent that we wanted. And as we evolved in this journey, as we got into lead ads, thank you to the partnership of Facebook and the additional tools given at our disposal and the genius of our social guru here, Harry, we were able to turn this into. I take PayPal, Harry.
Remember that at review time is all I would
say. But it made a world of difference. It turned into, from a secondary thing that we did a little bit on the side to have variety, into one of our main avenues for value generation for our clients. It was a step change for lead ads, and then there was a second step change with Listcast. And people are probably bored already of hearing me talk about Listcast, but the ability to provide product-based instead of brand-based dynamic advertising to the right audiences makes a lot of difference. It provides intent. It provides not only new leads, but it provides re-engagement of old. And so I'm derailing a little bit into what we are going to be covering already today, but what I'll say is this. We always want our Real Syncs to provide two things. One, to really, for everyone that's watching it, to learn something critical about our industry, whether it's actionable or not, understand our industry, understand real estate, and understand online real estate. And we can only teach that from the people that are in it and that are the main game changers in this industry. And then the second thing is for you to be able to walk away with actionable feedback of what to do. And because of that, we have today's session set up in 3 parts. First, we're going to talk about macro. What are the trends? How is Facebook seeing those trends? You've heard from us. You've heard from me in March of what I thought the trends would be. But now we're listening from the players that are looking at the whole picture. So you'll get those macro trends and you'll be able to ask questions. Then second, we'll talk about what makes Facebook tick. What is the difference between investing your time in just shiny things in Facebook that don't get you results, but just make you feel good, versus understanding what makes Facebook tick, what makes people visiting and using Facebook react, and to be able to put that into your advantage, which will lead us into the third part, which is actionable feedback of stuff you should do with or without sync to maximize your online presence through Facebook. So for all of this, we brought our excellent partner, Elizabeth Ghosh, and I thank you so much for being here, and I'll let you take it away, and I'll fade into the background a little bit and see as questions pop up, I'll bring them up and I'll comment. Because
I was going to say, don't fade too far. You know, I know we've got some slides. We're going to do a presentation. We got content to get through, but want to make sure, you know, again, that we're definitely getting to questions, that this is more conversational. Hopefully there's some thought-provoking things in here that'll just spark good conversation. So, but yeah, thank you guys so much for having me today. Really, you know, just kind of excited to put partnership on display here. But to take a moment to introduce myself to everyone. So I'm Elizabeth Ghosh. I'm a client partner here at Facebook, and I specifically focus on the real estate vertical. I've been at Facebook for 6 years. When I started, I was on our financial services team, but still very much focused on performance marketing. And when the opportunity came up to join the real estate team, I jumped at the opportunity to really help focus on small business. I know we've got a lot of agents and brokers tuned in today. So yeah, specifically, wanted to help local small businesses and saw an opportunity to do that. But yeah, I'm based in Washington, D.C., but Harry and I were just talking, I was actually based in California for a while. So
Which part?
So I was in the San Francisco Bay Area. So I was working at headquarters until I moved out here in September.
Which headquarters? I lived in the Bay for a long time.
Menlo Park. Yeah.
Menlo Park. Yeah, I used to live in right in Stanford in Palo Alto.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I was in that area for a while and then moved to Oakland for 3 years before we moved out here to DC. So it was all over the place out there.
Before it got uber crowded.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. So again, guys, what we're going to talk about today, I loved the title that Sync helped put together, but really centering around not just the fact that page likes don't sell homes, but that, Facebook really provides you with an opportunity to optimize your outcomes for true business results. And that can look like a variety of things, right? Maybe you want to generate awareness for yourself as a brand in your business. Maybe you do want to drive leads, right? I think the main theme of kind of what we're going to talk about today is, how do we focus in to make sure that we're driving the right actions that are really going to be meaningful to our business. So first, we'll take a step back and, this is a picture that, hopefully is actually not too familiar to many anymore, right? Once upon a time, it was really about being at the right place at the right time to find a home. But now, with the internet, like people hold the power in their hands, right? I mean, I'm sure you're all very familiar with smartphone habits. You're on it while you're in line at the grocery store, especially, now that we're 6 feet apart at the grocery store.
Even more now. Yeah, that's what I was
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. When you're sitting on the couch, in between sets, during the commercials on the television. So, really the process has changed in a way that has made the agent more important to this process than ever. We know that since 2014, home buyers have used the web or mobile apps to search for home listings more frequently than they've contacted real estate agents. So like, what does that mean for all of you? Well, by the time these consumers get to you, they know everything about the housing market, right? They know all the listings that are out there. They come to you with a wealth of information, but really still, your role kind of providing the critical information and guiding them through this, incredibly difficult, complex, and expensive process, again, is more important than ever now that they're just kind of overwhelmed with this information. And really the key here, though, is that the majority of these searches are happening on a mobile device. So, you want to make sure that if you think about these consumer behaviors, that's where you want to be, right? Where you want to show up while they're spending so much time on these devices.
Well, one question. You haven't seen that reverse because of COVID? One would think that it could be that people are spending more time at home and desktop is back in vogue.
Yeah. I wouldn't say desktop is back in vogue. I would say, to your point, I mean, I don't think people are using desktop any more often than they were before, just that they're at home instead of in the office, right? So, we're still seeing that mobile, and particularly on our platform, right? Mobile is far and away the most used kind of medium for people while they're, again, when you're sitting on the couch and you're in front of the TV, right? You've got your phone in your hand all the time. Haven't really seen that pivot back to desktop any more than how people were using it before.
Yeah, and I pulled those stats, Alvaro, looking at just our portfolio, and it's held pretty steady. It's gone up slightly even to mobile, but I mean, I think it was 93% of our impressions going back into January have come from mobile, and that's held pretty steady, every month. And I think it's just, I think maybe you have more people that are kind of living that 2-screen life, you know,
Mhm.
too.
Yeah.
Like maybe, like Elizabeth said, maybe they're working on the computer and browsing Facebook on their phone, or you know, and a lot of our traffic comes from the app as well. So
I think
uh,
that's a great point. So Harry, when you say that number is really powerful, 93%.
yeah,
So if you're back at home and you're a sync client, and when you want to check on your Facebook advertising, you do it in your computer to see how it looks. You're seeing it how 7% of the people will see it. So basically, you couldn't find a more wasteful way to use your time than doing that. So if you want to see what you're doing, you need to see it on a mobile device, because that's what 97% of the people that see it are going to be seeing it live.
well, that was, you know, and that was a huge focus for us too. When I first came on, was better taking advantage of mobile, because we used to run the majority of our ads on desktop just because the conversion rate was so much better. And that's where lead ads were really a hero for us, because we would turn off mobile traffic a while ago, years ago, and ever since we switched to the lead ads, you know, we're able to drive or really take advantage of that mobile traffic. When I was looking at some research, I mean, do you have any idea, Elizabeth, like how many people are only accessing it through mobile or on the app? I mean, I've always seen 60%, but I felt like I saw even a higher number when I was doing research recently.
Yeah, I think I've got numbers here in the deck, but I think we're looking at roughly 170 something million people are accessing through mobile. No, sorry, that's the daily number, and 95% of our monthly active user numbers are accessing through mobile. So I'll flip through that in a second.
It's nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's nuts. And I
it
mean,
is crazy. Yeah.
and we always tell people too, you know, when you get a Facebook lead, you know, follow up with that person, because especially if they're coming through lead ads, you know, Facebook is really, really good at getting someone's mobile number. If they're coming through a lead ad, they're probably holding that phone right then that they just signed up on. So, you know, try and reach out to them. They're holding that phone, they're looking at it right there. So
That's right. Awesome. So yeah, so you know, again, yeah, people are house hunting 24/7 because of exactly what you just described, Harry, right? They're holding that phone in their hand at all times. And we've seen since 2014 that web and mobile searches, as we mentioned, right, are outpacing contacting agents directly through mobile, outpacing that through web, right? So again, just thinking about what is the platform, you know, like what is the landscape here that we're talking about? We also know that 4 out of 5 US home buyers surveyed use an online resource at some point in their search, right? So you think about your overall marketing strategy. Yeah, people are online, right? So you need to have a heavy digital presence to ensure that you are effectively and efficiently getting in front of these people. We also know, and this stat, I've seen various numbers. I've seen greater than 50%. I've seen upwards of 70%, but buyers who only speak with one agent before deciding who to work with. Blows my mind as someone who bought a home recently, but you know, I understand, you know, maybe how overwhelming the process of choosing an agent could be. But again, this really highlights the importance of, are you going to be that first agent that they come across? Are you present on these platforms and these screens where people are spending their time?
Elizabeth, one key point, you probably don't have this stat right at hand, but I'd love to learn, because we've heard that stat many times of people going for the first realtor they talk to. I'd love to know what's the average time frame from that first time that they talk to the realtor to when they actually buy. I think that would be very telling.
Yes, I don't have anything, you know, kind of that I could cite for you right now, but I do know it's typically around 6 months or more, right?
Yes.
So yeah,
That's our
we know it's a
experience
long
from
process.
saying. Harry, what would you say is our average for Facebook leads, average cycle life?
well, with Facebook, a lot of the time we're getting them, you know, earlier in the process. So I would think it's probably going to be somewhere in that 6 to 12 month range on average. But I mean, we do see, you know, and I always tell people, the same people that are, you know, doing a Google search or calling a realtor, like those people are also on Facebook. So we do have people that come through as quick closes. And that's especially true with the dynamic ads, because those do a really good job of, that person is thinking about buying a home. They've been looking at homes on our client's website. Bam, here's a home that maybe I didn't see, but I really like it. It's very similar to what I was looking at. I need to go see this now, because I mean, I was talking to a client in California recently, who said they're getting, they put a house on the market and they've got 10 offers by the next morning, so I mean, I think that's all playing in together, but the dynamic ads really do a great job of surfacing those people with high intent. And then I also wanted to mention, on this slide, I really like this headline of people are house hunting 24/7. A really common question that we get in our department is like, hey, we call it day parting, but hey, I want to pause ads from maybe 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. right? Because I don't want some drunk college kid signing up on my website or whatever it might be. But our counter to that is, with Facebook, with Google, with all of these online advertising avenues now, like you said, Elizabeth, people have the power. Like they're able to look for homes when they can. And, maybe that's someone like who has two jobs, who's working all day, or maybe they work a night shift, and this is the time that they have to look for homes. So I think that's really important to understand. And I think, the targeting that we're able to do with Facebook, and Instagram, it really helps our clients to get in front of those people, regardless of when they're looking. We're able to get in front of the right people when they're ready to look, and I think that's been the big shift.
Given this information, what you need to know is you might want to wait till they're 3 months away, but if 70% will go with the first realtor they speak to, then on 70% of them you're already out of the game if you're waiting for the 3-month mark. So reality just dictates that you need to be there at the 9-month or at 6-month mark. If you see that as a negative, then you're out of the real game. You might get the scraps of the remaining, you might be fighting for that remaining 30%, but for most of the players, you're out of the game.
Yeah, and I think that is an important thing. We're introducing brands to people, with Facebook. It's relevant searches, but they may not have known that you were there to begin with. So, I mean, give them a call. Some of them are going to want to buy soon. Some of them are going to be far out down the road, but, establish that rapport, build that relationship with them. And then it's also, really cool being able to look in the CRM. It's not uncommon to see people sign up through multiple sources, over their lifespan in your CRM. Maybe they sign up on a Facebook ad, then maybe they do a Google search, they sign up on your Google ad, then they see a dynamic ad, they come back in. So, I mean, it all works hand in hand. And I think the people that are doing the best are, establishing those relationships when that person's not ready to, or either way, but when that person's not ready to buy right away, because, that can lead to 4 or 5 transactions down the road also.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I'm done hijacking your presentation for now.
No, I love the conversation. I'm definitely making it much more dynamic, so I love it. So yeah, a couple quick stats here. We know that U.S. consumers are spending over 3 hours per day on their mobile devices. And to your guys' earlier point, right? Like in COVID times, it's probably much higher than this even now, right? But we know that more than 55% of total time spent with media specifically is digital. And also that more than 70% of people in the U.S. use their smartphones, and nearly 53% are using tablets. So again, kind of going back to that earlier point, right? You have to think about how your ads are going to appear on these devices, right? Because that's where the impressions are going to be held. And we know that, the average US adult will spend an additional 23 minutes on their smartphones in 2020, likely as a result of us being stuck at home, and our devices are our new friends.
Yep. Yeah. Mine's on my lap right now.
You see, exactly. No, right here.
Yeah.
Never more than a few feet away at any given time.
Yep.
Yeah, and then, to talk a little bit more about how people are interacting with businesses, we know that 8 out of 10 people report using their smartphones to interact with a local business, which makes a ton of sense, right? Because you might be looking for directions to get to the business, or you might be looking for reviews if it's a restaurant, right? So on and so forth. The smartphone's a great, easy way to get some of, these informations, these insights from these businesses. And then we know specifically that on Facebook, 3 out of 4 users in the US say that they're visiting the Facebook page of a local business at least once a week. So again, if you think about, behaviors on maybe Google or Yelp, those same behaviors exist on Facebook as well. So when you're thinking about what type of content you want to put on your Facebook business page, it's really important to think about what are these user behaviors. Well, they're coming to your Facebook business page because they're trying to get important information about you. Maybe they want to get your contact information, phone number, website, email. Maybe they're there to read reviews and recommendations. Maybe they're there to see what type of content are you putting out. You know, to be honest, you guys, I see a lot of self-help and drink a lot of water every day posts and those cute cat gifs. And, you know, they may get a lot of engagement. But really, again, people are coming to your page because they want to know why you're the agent they should work with. Why are you an expert in your market? What are your accolades? You know, so think about your Facebook business page too as a place to kind of brag a little bit about yourself and your experience in your resume.
Yeah, and I always think of it as, you know, not a ton of people will actually see the page. Like, to me, it's always, you know, your posts that you're putting into the feeds and ads and things like that are the value that you're wanting to give to draw people to come to that page. And then that's where they want to see, you know, all of those accolades and you really get a sense of, you know, who you are. And looking at the 8 of 10, you know, stat, one thing that was really interesting to me that we tried on a corporate level, which has been really successful, is we set up basically an ad funnel, you know, where we introduce people by having them watch some videos, we have them watch some testimonials, and then we ask them to sign up for a demo. Well, if they don't sign up for a demo, we use a messenger ad to show them an ad that says, hey, you know, do you have questions about sync? Let us know what they are here, right? Because our thought was, you know, they went down this funnel, they clicked on this ad to request a demo, but they didn't fill it out. So there's something there, right, that they're not ready to give their phone number to you to find that answer to. So like using that messenger ad, you know, we've got a lot of people that message us with their questions about sync, and a lot of times, you know, we're able to either help them or, you know, move them to the next stage of that pipeline. But I think that, you know, that 8 out of 10 stat, like for me, I hate talking on the phone. Like I really do. You know, and I like, a lot of times, even when I text message someone, I'll think about, like, I try and do it at a time where I think they'll be busy, because I have some friends where I'll text them and they'll call me right away, and then you've got to answer because you just texted them, like they know you're there. So like, you know, for me, this makes total sense. You know, like, yes, I want to know in our specific situation. Yes, I want to know about sync. Yes, I'm interested. Yes, I'm considering, you know, a real estate CRM, but I'm not ready to speak to you on the phone yet. But I am, yeah, sure, absolutely. I'll talk to you through Facebook Messenger. You know, it's a much less kind of friction filled way to me to interact with someone. So
well,
I
if you
thought
think
that
about,
was
Harry, when you call someone on the phone, you're asking them to trust you. You're asking them to believe that what you're going to tell them is valuable enough to pick up the phone, because once they picked up, they're hooked. While when you send a message through Messenger or text, the beauty of it is that people respond when they are able to read your message without committing to you. They can still ignore your message after they've read it. And so that is very valuable. Now, the downside of it is so different than a phone call. They don't get to know who you are. That's where having the right Facebook page, online presence, says, okay, you're talking to me by Facebook. The first thing I'll do is I'll click on your face and see who you are. And then is the question on whether I want to engage with you or not.
Yeah, and I just think the messenger ads can be a good tool to, you know, move them to that point where they are ready to trust you. You know, like my friends are a lost cause. I know they're not going to say anything that values me talking to them on the phone, but like, you know, the messenger and Facebook, Instagram, you know, all the posting, the news feed, that's a good way to move them from, you know, I know you provide this service, but I don't trust you. I don't know who you are, to like, okay, yes, now I'm ready to give you some time and speak to you on the phone.
Indeed.
Yeah. Awesome. So Harry, here's where the stats that you were asking for earlier. So we know that there's about 330 million people in the US, and that 231 million of them are accessing Facebook every month on mobile.
Nice.
70% of our entire population. So if you think about, where can I get some bang for my buck? Where can I reach, right, the people who are important to me and who are important to my business? There's a good chance that you're going to reach them on Facebook. And then about 178 million of those people use Facebook every single day.
Yeah.
So yeah, the scope and scale and the reach across our platforms, these numbers are specific to Facebook, but I think it's also easy for people to forget we're not just Facebook. We're Facebook, we're Instagram, Harry, you just mentioned, we're Messenger, right? We're also WhatsApp. So we have a whole family of apps and services, that can help you reach and communicate with people.
For the US, WhatsApp might not be that well known. Outside the US, anyone that lives outside the US, WhatsApp is the thing. And we live by that.
Yep,
Well,
exactly.
and something that really drove the scale of how Facebook has that captive audience, and what a great job Facebook's done of becoming such a part of people's lives. I was putting a presentation together, and I pulled a list of the most downloaded apps. I think it was from 2018. It was a while ago, but I think it was something like 4 of the top 6 most downloaded apps are Facebook-owned products. It was Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and WhatsApp, I think. So I mean, that's crazy, and that's such reach, and I mean, everybody is using it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Everybody's doing it.
Well, speaking of, we'll talk a little bit more about this. We know that about an hour and 15 minutes is the average time spent on social each day. And more specifically, that 38 of those minutes on average are spent on Facebook, and about 26 of those minutes on average are spent with Instagram. So love or hate these stats. I look at these and I look at my own usage, and all right, well, I'm bringing that average up. I don't know about the rest of you, but again, they're great platforms. They're great ways for you to connect with your friends and family. They're great ways to get information, and they're great ways to connect with local businesses. And I think that's really, again, some of the reasons that people are spending so much time on our platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And to speak more specifically to real estate, we also know that half of Gen Z and about 42% of millennials say social is the most relevant ad channel for them. Again, if you think about kind of your own user experiences on Facebook, Instagram, and so on and so forth, right? That the power is in the data of our targeting and our reach, right? The goal is to deliver a great user experience. And so if you have to see ads, we want to make sure they're ones that are relevant to you. And then we also know that about 65% of home buyers say they're influenced by their online friends' home buying posts on social. So, again, we talked about it's such an emotional experience when you're buying a home, right? It's expensive, it's important. And now more than ever, since we're spending so much time at home, and people love to talk about it, right? They're going to get on Facebook and say, I just bought my first home, or I just sold my first home. And, these are the people that, made it the experience that it was. And so again, just kind of thinking about those user behaviors and maybe things that you want to add right to your Facebook page or to your ad content about how you were able to help people through this incredibly difficult and complex process. Awesome. So fast forward to Agent 2020 and, really the role that you all are playing in this process today. We pulled some interesting stats here. So we know that Bob Goldberg, CEO of NAR, said that there are roughly 200 steps from transaction to close that need to be completed to get someone in a home. And really, agents, this is your opportunity, right, to shine. These are the complex processes that, really require your assistance. We also know that 80% of agents report that they use Facebook to market homes for sale. And it makes sense, right, that you need time to kind of set aside to complete the marketing tasks that are associated, with selling homes for your customers, and also, gaining other customers for yourself. But agents are reporting that they're spending nearly 9 hours each week completing these marketing tasks. And I think, we look at this and we go, wow, that's a lot of time. And I'm sure it's time, that you'd all like back, right? Again, if you have to help, your clients with these 200 steps from transaction to close, spending 9 hours each week on marketing is a huge ask of all of you. It's why Facebook and our team partners with companies like Sync in order to bring automated and tools and solutions for your advertising that are following best practices while taking out a lot of that guesswork for you. So diving into this a little bit more, yes, again, these are all the methods that we know that agents are using to market homes for sale. And again, right, just looking at this list going, wow, that's a lot of different platforms to keep track of. That's a lot of things to master, right? And again, you guys are agents, but now you're expected to be marketers as well. It's a lot to ask, and we know that. So we're partnering with companies like Sync to really look hard at kind of what are common spend habits, but what are best practices. So,
can I interrupt you a second?
Please,
Go back one second.
Yes.
To the last slide. So it's interesting to see that 56% of agents do have their own site where people search. And so I'd say when we started this 5 years ago, that would have been 10%. And that makes all the difference in the world in the sense that having an IDX site is not enough anymore because you're only one of every 2 realtors by having an IDX site. That's why this game has become so much more competitive, and it's about having the right IDX site and having a top performing site that can be competing with a realtor.com that we see there at 78%. And when your site has a search experience that is at the level of one or better than one of those national sites, then you're being able to keep that traffic in, not just generate leads, but keep them, right? To be able, part of your environment, keep them interacting with your site, which gives you information, which allows you to do that follow-up through those 6 to 9 months in an effective way. But again, a few years ago, that my own sidebar would have been 10, 15%, in which case, 5 years ago, probably having an IDX site already put you ahead of the game. While today, that's not nearly enough.
Yeah, and I like to talk about the importance of websites as well, because, if you think about it, there's only so much you can communicate in an ad, right? And again, for those of you who are Facebook and Instagram users, you think about your experience, it's mostly the image. You get a couple of lines of copy before it's truncated, but I'm sure there's so much more that you really want to communicate about yourself and about your services and what you offer and what you bring to the table that simply can't be communicated in an ad. It's important that all of that information lives on a destination, post that ad where people can learn more about you and start to understand if you're the right agent for them to work with.
I actually have a question that is pretty tactical, and we can either answer it now or later. I know Harry on this. So Elizabeth says, Facebook policy of requiring a 15-mile radius for real estate related ads has killed the value of Facebook's ad in markets like mine. I know this wasn't Facebook choice, but any suggestions on how to advertise effectively given this requirement?
Actually is a perfect time to ask this question because it's going to go into a little bit of what we're going to talk about right here. But to answer that question, I understand that the 15-mile radius is difficult. If you think about, if you live in New York, right, or you work in Manhattan, 15-mile radius is huge, right? I think that's why it's very important for you to align what the outcome of your ad is with what it is that you're trying to drive, right? So for example, right here, what we're looking at is we've got common practices. We see lots of agents run campaigns for page likes, for post engagements, for clicks on their ad, right? But many of these common practices, they're not driving actual business results, right? Just because someone likes your page doesn't mean they're going to choose you as an agent. Just because someone clicks on your ad, again, doesn't mean that they're going to choose you as their agent, right? But we have objectives in the system, and what Sync has implemented, right, is really more of can we optimize for lead ads? Can we optimize for, maybe you've got a lead form on your website, you want to optimize for that. Can we optimize for site views on your website of the important pages, again, with that information about you? So yes, in the absence of being able to hyperly narrowly target your audience, you want to make sure that you're optimizing for the right outcomes, because essentially what the system is going to do is the system's going to say, okay, you want more leads, I'm going to go within your target audience and I'm going to look for people within that target audience that are most likely to submit a lead, right? So if you're optimizing for page likes, and again, we don't know that page likes are going to convert into customers, I think that's where the 15-mile radius becomes more problematic. But if you're optimizing for the right outcomes, it shouldn't be too detrimental to your advertising performance.
I fully agree, Elizabeth. In fact, I think responding to the other Elizabeth, look, this just makes the game more interesting. In the case, I'll give you one example of how we do this and why we haven't seen a super relevant impact in our Facebook advertising at Sync, which is, if you think about Listcast, what you are advertising is actual product. You're advertising the equivalent of a property alert. So you're advertising different properties that match what that person was looking. So whether they're in your mile radius or not, and whether you can narrow it enough for it to be valuable for you, if the content of the ads is only relevant for people that are relevant to you, then that gets solved. So if what you're advertising is properties in your specific neighborhood, people clicking on those properties, whether they are in the 15-mile radius or not, there's a high probability that they will be interested in the service that you can provide them and in the area that you are that you are an expert in. So again, what these kind of restrictions do is it makes it more difficult for amateur advertisers to just do it effectively. What it requires is for you to take a very serious approach at seeing what you're advertising and why. And so again, audiences, as Elizabeth was saying, can be deceiving or misleading. People liking your page can be liking them because you do post about something of their interest, because you're interested in whatever, history or whatever, and that has no necessary relationship to what you're looking for. But if your advertising, if your lead ads, if your listcast is honing in on the kind of things that relate to what you provide, then you're sidestepping just the geographical shortcut, let's say.
I would say too. Can you guys hear me? I lost my connection for a second. Okay,
you're
cool.
back.
The one time I'm actually needed to answer a question, I lose my connection, or I'm not just talking. But no, I mean, for us, you know, we've always had a radius on our ads, even before all this happened. Like that wasn't a huge issue for us. And the thinking there is, you know, like if you're buying a home, you may not be physically located in that zip code where you're going to buy a home. You know, a lot of people are moving because, you know, like for me, when I moved, you know, I moved because I had a new job and I wanted to be somewhere closer. So you may not necessarily be in that place. And I think I saw some stat one time that said people generally move within a 12-mile radius, like most people do that. So the 15-mile radius, it's almost perfect. You know, I mean, that's the way that the targeting should be done. I mean, that's the way that we've always done the targeting. So, you know, we weren't concerned by that, and we've actually seen results improve from that because it forced us to go back in and really look at the ad wording, and really get creative and really look at that whole flow of, you know, now we're not just going to show a picture of a kitchen and get you to click through and sign up so you can see the price of that kitchen. You know, we're going to say, hey, here are VA eligible homes for sale in a certain area, or here are, you know, new construction homes in a certain area. And that was always really big for us. That went hand in hand with the lead ads. Being able to focus more on mobile helped us to be able to do this, because in previous tests on desktop, the cost was too high when we switched from here's a really cool kitchen to here's an idea. But, you know, you're signing up for this idea. You're signing up for this thing that you're looking for. We're taking you to a site that has that service. We're delivering value by setting up the property alerts that come after the fact. So, I mean, the 15-mile radius, you know, wasn't a big deal for us. It actually made our ads better and our performance better. So yeah, I think that was the question that you guys were answering. Again, I dropped off
Yeah.
for a little bit. Okay, cool.
Nope.
Yep.
Yeah. Did a great job of it.
Nailed it. But I
love
will
it.
say on this too, on the common spend habits, we have some clients. One of the funnest parts, most fun. I don't know. That's why I don't teach English. But one of the best parts of my job is, getting to work with our clients one-on-one. And we have a lot of clients that have really cool programs and ideas that are specific, to them. We've had things around COVID. We have specific kind of down payment programs or seller programs that people have created to, compete with like the iBuyers and stuff like that. And we can, and if you have programs like this, sync family out there, or potential sync family, and you ever want to promote something like that, I always tell people, if you have a client who calls in and they want to target something that sounds too crazy to do on Google, give me that call, because we can probably do it on Facebook, using that proactive targeting, using the visual ad options that we have. So we work with a lot of clients, one-on-one to promote those specific programs that they have with custom ads. And that, that can really drive good results. Some of them, whether it's driving people to a landing page about it and then retargeting that audience of people that express interest by seeing it or using a video. Some clients have lists of potential people that are going to buy or sell that they've curated over the years. Using that, like, that's where you're really harnessing all the power of Facebook. And then you're driving people to your site, and that's just, that's one more person to be in that dynamic retargeting audience. So then you're constantly in front of them. So yeah, I think we see a lot of people that do focus on, on the wrong goals, and just do what's easy. But that's a benefit of, working with a company like us. We are a Facebook marketing partner, I'd like to say. That's the benefit of working with
advertising.
Yeah, it's the 80-20 rule. 80% of my stuff has been helpful, but 20% is promotional. But, and we're able to really sit down with these clients and say, like, okay, what are you trying to do? And, maybe this is what it would look like. Like, maybe this does start with an engagement ad, but don't leave it at that. Once we do this engagement ad, like, let's take the people who have, watched your video, and let's try and drive them into a lead ad, or let's put them in a retargeting campaign, or, anything like that. So one of the things I love most about what I get to do is just really taking all these tools that already exist in the platforms and be able to understand them, and help people, achieve goals. And maybe it is, more than a one-step kind of ad thing. Like, maybe it is this funnel that we do, and we're happy to help people do that. That's fun to do. So
awesome. I'll pause on the questions for a little bit so that we can advance in the content, and I'll bring back some questions at the end.
Awesome. We don't have too much more to go. So, again, just to kind of talk about some of these common misconceptions, and I want to recognize as well, I think we kind of put ourselves into this like social jail, right? We know that the very early guidance was that like page likes were the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was how
that.
that was how you built an audience to talk to people, right?
Yeah.
To communicate your message. But now with just so much content available on the platform, you need to be a bit more sophisticated in how you're going to break through. And if you want to be efficient and effective there, you have to make sure that you're reaching the right people and not just people who are going to like your page, as Alvaro explained earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But so, yeah, some other common myths. There's no way to tell if my Facebook ads are even working. With Sync, right, there's an easier and better way to understand the Facebook value of Facebook and Instagram. And again, we understand that, our tools are very complex. You guys are agents, right? You're not master marketers. That shouldn't be the expectation of you, right? But that's why we're partnering with companies like Sync to ensure that there are ways that you can understand the value that's being driven by the platform. Another myth, status updates and organic posts are as effective as paid ads. I started to talk about this a little bit. They're not actually ads. And if anyone's played around in the system, you'll notice that when you're boosting a post, you actually don't even have the full suite of ad capabilities behind it. And we also know that they're seen by less than 3% of your page's followers. So again, right, even if you do all of that work to build up, an audience of people who like your page, posting organically is not going to allow you to break through to reach those people in a meaningful way. That's really, again, going to drive your business forward. And then again, myth, boosting a post is the same thing as an ad. Ads are going to give you more reach and more advanced targeting potential, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, these are just things that we want you to keep in mind. We know these are common misconceptions. We know this is how, we used to advise advertisers on the platform, even back when I joined the company 6 years ago, we were just starting to talk about, hey, optimize for actions that matter, not page likes and engagements. And now six years later, we have even more advanced tools to ensure that when you're spending $1, you're spending it effectively. So Harry, want to wrap this up for us?
Yeah, first I will say that my reputation is one of always going over on time. And I would like to point out that even in a presentation where I have not been the main presenter, I have somehow caused it to go over time. So got my streak going on. Elizabeth, do you mind clicking for me? I think I'm still looking at your screen.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just some takeaways, things that, and we've got a blog post that we put up today too on blog.syncpro.com that goes over some of this as well and gives some resources. Elizabeth shared with us a really cool, like a one-sheeter on how to host an open house using Facebook Live. Goes over everything. That's on that blog. There's some other resources. There's even a cat GIF. So we've got everything covered. But I think it is really important that you guys understand that our focus at Sync is on mobile, because we know that that's where the eyeballs are. That's where everybody's using it. Like I said at the beginning, 93% of our traffic over the last 6 months, or not even traffic, just impressions, has come from mobile. So I mean, it's a huge part of what you should be doing. And the goal is to connect with people where they are. People are on Facebook and Instagram, and they're on their mobile phone. And we talked about looking at your ads, like where they're going to be. Facebook provides tools like that in Ads Manager. You can see mobile previews of your ads. You can see what the different placements will be. We also talk about that a little bit in the blog post as well. And something that's been really powerful for us and that we're exploring more of is the stories placement. So we really like the stories placement on Facebook and Instagram. I mean, it's a full screen takeover. You're not competing with as much noise. So I mean, I would just encourage you guys. It's like we talked about with the Messenger. If you are running ads, make sure that you're testing different placements, figuring out what works, make the creative, specific to those placements, and you can use tools like Canva and Pexels and things like that. That's also in the blog.
Do you have, and they can go to the blog, but do you have like one tip that you would say, hey, if you're doing this on your own, to just check this out?
There's so many. I mean, if it depends on what you're struggling with, like for me, I've always been a writer and an analytical person. So writing posts for me was never something that was that difficult, and being able to learn from it as we looked at results was never something that was that difficult. But creative for me, so images, videos, that's always been really difficult for me. If you're like me and you haven't seen Canva yet, you need to go like right now. Canva.com. It's a free resource to use. They have lots of templates that you can use to make really great looking graphics for social. And then, you can get high quality free images from places like Pexels.com, which is a free stock image provider. So, that if you struggle with creative, that would be my tip.
That's
I
right.
mean,
We'll put it besides the blog post, which we'll put the link. We'll also put the links to the two sites that you just said, so that people can explore on their own.
yeah, and I would just say too, you know, to test what you're doing, like try things, but measure those, you know, and give the algorithms enough time to figure out whether something's going to work or not. But you know, I had my previous boss always used to say, if you're going to fail, fail fast. You know, so I mean, it's okay, you're going to fail, but just fail fast and don't fall in love with your ideas. So
Great.
you
For
know,
those asking about this, we'll put the links. So we'll put the links right in the comments in the YouTube channel.
yeah. Do you mind going forward, Elizabeth, please?
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so Elizabeth talked about this, you know, use Facebook and Instagram to tell your story. I think it makes a lot of sense to me anyway, that, you know, those posts that or your ads, your things like that, or where you're trying to provide that value and bring people back to your page. But once they get to your page, you know, that's where they need to see those reviews, those accolades. That's where you got to build that confidence of, you know, yes, this is who I should work with. You know, yes, this person knows what they're doing. So
Yeah, and I saw a question in the Q&A that asked about like business versus non-business posting. Like, no, on your Facebook business page, it should be all business, 100%.
yeah.
Again, people are going there to learn more about you and why you're the right agent, right? Your personal profile is for your personal stuff. Your business page is to talk about the services that you provide.
And I mean,
Yeah.
you could share things from your business to your personal from time to time if you have something that makes sense. But yeah,
And I think what
keep
happens, which
business.
I understand the question out of talking with a lot of our clients, many times those lines blur, right? Our clients, half their business comes from going to the soccer field with their kids and talking with other moms and dads in the field. And so it just becomes a little difficult to set that line. And the page does have to be interesting for people to be there. But I would say, especially in times like today, where there's so many divisive issues in the US, it's very easy for personal posts to derail your business page. So business does not mean impersonal. Business means
That's right.
everything that you post on your page should be thought to cater to the people that are your audience. And so don't just go on a tangent of things that just because you want to post them appear there. But it doesn't mean impersonal. If you have 100% cold and impersonal posts, then people will not follow it. That rule does, I think, work of have a good percentage of posts that reach to people in a meaningful way.
I mean, exactly. Like speaking your own voice, right? Like let your personality shine through. I mean, we know that real estate, you know, works on relationships, right? But I guess my point is like, yes, save the self-help articles and stuff like that. People want to know, you know, about you and what you can do for them.
And just a catch-all answer to a couple of the questions of how do we do Facebook marketing. So to be clear, part of today is for you to learn about Facebook and what's happening in general, and things that independently of us Sync managing your Facebook account, you should still be doing on your own. So creating content and putting content on your website, that's something that Sync doesn't do. And we wanted Elizabeth here to give you a sense of what works and doesn't work for that part. As for the ads and the business part of the ads, yes, of course, we're happy to take part of that. The way that we do it, I think we'll put a link to a webinar that Harry and Dan gave that very specifically talk about what lead ads means, how do we use it, what Listcast is, how does Listcast work, and I think that's a great follow-up to this one. We'll post it in the comments, and we'll show you what we do for you. And there was a question there about whether we're going to teach to do Facebook ads. Certainly, we're not going to do it here. I'm going to offer Harry to follow up with you specifically, the person that asked it, and he's going to spend some time from his own to teach you how to set up a good Facebook ad on your own. Of course, we do it for our clients, but look, it's something that can be taught pretty quick, so we'll be happy to help you out.
Yeah, if you don't mind going forward, please.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think, I always tell people you're introducing yourself to new clients on social. The proactive targeting allows you to go out and find people who may or may not know to search for the service that you're providing. I mean, we talked about those custom ads. People may not know that that exists, but that doesn't mean that they don't want it. So use Facebook, use Instagram, use that proactive targeting to push those messages out to relevant people, whether it's in a custom audience or retargeting people who have hit your site that may be interested in it. So there's a lot that you can really do there, and I think Facebook and Instagram is that's the place to really introduce yourself and even kind of pique that interest with people, before they even know that they want it. And I mean, if you're not retargeting, now is definitely the time that you should be doing it. I looked at some stats for cost per impression, which is how much CPM, which is how much it costs to show the ads to people. We're seeing drops of 35% to show your ads to people, and I think that's coming from there's more people online, like we talked about, and a lot of the competition has dropped off. Now if you have a storefront business, you're probably not running as many ads as you used to, as people are quarantined. And I think too, something that is important to point out is the housing market is doing really well, but there is that subset of people, that's not ready to go face to face and look at a house yet. So how are you going to stay in front of those people and keep yourself relevant until they are ready to go? And that's always true with online lead generation. Most people don't sign up on an ad and buy a house the next day. So how are you going to stay in front of them and continue to drive value? Retargeting is the way to do that. The dynamic ads or list cast is a great way to do that with properties. And we also have branded remarketing that keeps your tagline, your face in front of them. So if you're interested in that, definitely ask us about that. But if you're not doing retargeting with us, please do retargeting with someone, because that's going to drive you a lot of value as you go forward. And then, find a partner you can trust. Did I mention we're a recognized Facebook marketing partner for real estate? We're more than happy to help you. We've been doing this since 2011, since it was founded. So, and I've personally been running ads on Facebook for a decade, which makes me, old in Facebook years. So,
Harry, as for volunteering your time in a very generous manner from me, the people are asking about how to set up their Facebook business page. Is that something that maybe we could do a quick video on and post?
Yeah, we could do a video around it, or a guide around it as well.
I can help you guys out with that too. We can pull something together for sure.
Awesome. I think, look, because I'm seeing 2 or 3 questions of that. Again, if we think they're seeing clients, the ads part is being taken care of, that's great. If they're not, it's not difficult to learn to do Facebook advertising. Of course, there's a question of how effective, but that's
Hey, gee, thanks, Alvaro.
there's a different level of impact if you do one or the other. I mentioned that Harry is an absolute loser. But what I mean is, either way, they need to be setting up their business page on their own. They need to make sure that they're doing it in an effective manner. So I'd love that to be a follow-up to this webinar. And I think if Elizabeth, you can help us through it, we can put a quick guide to it. It's absolutely something that people should walk out of this and go and do.
Yeah, sure. And we can work on putting something together, give us some time and we can get it out to all the registrants from the webinar. And if you're watching it on a replay, just shoot us an email and we can get it to you.
And then I have 2, hopefully quick ones, at least to answer or punt. One is Canada. So the question is, when will, with the stats provided US-based, how far behind do you think Canada is in terms of online competitiveness in markets like Vancouver and Toronto? I guess my question there is, do you guys feel that there is, that Facebook advertising in Canada, especially in Toronto, and I guess Vancouver too, is less effective or less competitive than in the US? I don't have that sense, but Harry, you probably know better, and Elizabeth too.
For us, we love Canada. I mean, Canada brings all of our portfolio-wide stats in terms of cost per lead, down. We're able to drive a ton of leads in Canada. Toronto specifically does very well. So I mean, we don't see, we don't see any kind of dip in performance in Canada. I mean, the trends that we see are Canadian markets perform better than most U.S. markets in terms of cost per lead. And I think, I mean, at any big city where you have a population that is, tech savvy and comfortable, on their phones, on their devices, I think you're going to see good results there. So, I mean, in terms of competition, I think there is a lot of competition up there, but that doesn't necessarily make the results worse. If anything, those markets perform better for us on average, and we have some Canadian clients who are running ads and doing very well. So, I mean, if you're in Toronto and considering running ads on Facebook, I would say, go for it. Absolutely. It does very well up there.
And then the other one in California, do we have real restrictions to retargeting? Is it different from Aliska's point of view? Do we have any limitations?
So with California, we've paused new dynamic remarketing campaigns with some changes that were made after CCPA rolled out. But there are some changes to the pixel that were recently made, and Elizabeth, let me know if I'm making things up or not saying it right, but there are some changes to the pixel that were recently made that we're investigating right now that should let us open those products back up. So right now we're on pause with new accounts for dynamic remarketing in California. We're still running cold traffic ads, which are the buyer and seller ads. So that, those are still full throttle, and we're investigating opening dynamic back up in California. It would require some changes by people who are a lot smarter than me on the tech team to let us do that. But we're actively looking at that right now. We had a couple meetings about it this week.
Yeah. Bottom line is, I personally, as CEO of Sync, I believe that is extreme value to our consumers. Yeah. Not just to our clients. And so I think it should be done. We just need to find the right way to do it.
Now, I do need to say too, because I got in trouble the last webinar, if you were already running in California before the changes rolled out, we've still been able to keep that campaign running. It's just new accounts. We aren't able to get people into the audience fast enough for it to be effective, but we're looking at making adjustments to that, because I agree with you, especially in those high value or high dollar markets like that. That's where the dynamic ads tend to be really good. So, and those are the, we want to be able to offer it to everyone. So we are looking at that. Yes.
Cool. Well, with that, I know we have still some questions up. We'll follow up directly to the people asking. I'm going to thank everyone for being here, and Elizabeth especially for spending this time with us. I'll let you have some final words, and then I'll bid everyone farewell. I hope you got value from this. Do come to our YouTube channel, to tell us in our comments, and we'll keep it going there. So thank you, everyone. And Elizabeth, you have the floor.
Honestly, these are the best final words. Harry's got it right here. Again, we know Ads Manager is complicated. We don't expect you to fight through it. It's why we partner with companies like Sync. If it's not Sync, I think it should be, but that's okay. There are others out there, but find a partner you can trust. Get those 9 hours every week back to spend more time with your clients. And this is the real way, I think, to get the best results out of Facebook.
I want to say real quick, thank you so much to Elizabeth. It is awesome to have someone.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
Oh, it's so cool to have, someone from Facebook hop on and spend an hour with us and our clients. I mean, it's a really big deal. So we really appreciate it. And, thanks for all the information, and thanks for all the help you give me. I'm sure I'll email you 4 more times by the end of the day today. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Perfect. Okay, everyone. And I'm sorry for my background noise. It seems today is the day of cutting grass. But everyone, thank you so much for being with us today. This has been extremely valuable for me. Hope for other people too. And we'll see you in the next one. Hope you follow us in our comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.